Good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor and pleasure to warmly welcome you all to this side event of the 7th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly entitled Community-Based Freshwater and Peatland Conservation for a Resilient Planet. This session is convened to promote the implementation of UNEP Resolution 5/4 and on sustainable lake management and UNEP Resolution 4/16 on peatlands, while advancing community-based, locally driven, and nature-positive action that contribute directly to the coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, SDG 6, and the UN 2023 Water Action Agenda. My name is Aidil Hairunsyah, counselor at the Indonesian Embassy here in Nairobi, and I have the privilege of moderating this session. Before we begin, kindly ensure that your mobile phones are set to silent mode. Thank you. Without further delay, I am pleased to invite Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to Kenya, His Excellency Wicaksono Aji, to deliver the welcoming remarks. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Excellency Vice Minister Dias Hendro Priyono, distinguished delegates, honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon, Karibuni. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you to this side event hosted by Indonesia, the Ministry of Environment, on community-based freshwater and peatland conservation for a resilient planet. At the outset, allow me to express our deep appreciation to our distinguished guests and speakers joining us today, including Vice Minister, His Excellency Dias Faisal Malik Hendro Priyono, which is also the Vice Head of the Environmental Protection Agency of Indonesia, Mr. Eric Primiantoro, Senior Advisor to the Minister for Environment on International Relations and Environmental Diplomacy, Ms. Masako Ogawa, the Deputy DG of the Global Environment Bureau of the Gaimusho, Japan, Ministry of Environment of Japan, Ms. Deshan Sering, thank you, coming here from Bangkok, Regional Director of UNEP for Asia Pacific, Dr. Musonda Mumba, Secretary General of the Convention on Wetlands, Dr. Kilian Christ, Program Management Officer from UNEP's Office of Science, Mr. Klaus Reiner, Lead Regional Climate Change and Environmental Specialist for East and Southern Africa at IFAD, and Ms. Louise Haxthausen, Director of the UNESCO Regional Office here in Nairobi. We are grateful for your presence and commitment. Your leadership, expertise, and global perspective greatly enrich today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, freshwater ecosystems and peatlands are among the world's most critical natural infrastructures. They support biodiversity, they regulate our climate and sustain the livelihoods of millions. Yet they remain deeply vulnerable to pollution, land degradation, and the accelerating impact of climate change. Our experience, Indonesia's experience, demonstrates that community-based conservation is one of the most effective ways to safeguard these ecosystems. For generations, local communities, indigenous peoples, and traditional custodians have protected our rivers, our lakes, and peatlands through their knowledge, sustainable practices, and profound cultural connections to nature. This approach strongly aligns with UNEP resolutions 5.4 on sustainable lake management and 4.16 on peatlands, which emphasize inclusive, community-driven, and ecosystem-based action. Today's event also contributes to implementing the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework 2030, particularly its targets on restoration, resilience, and meaningful participation by local communities. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our aim this afternoon is to deepen global collaboration, exchange practical experiences, and reaffirm our shared commitment to empowering communities in freshwater and peatland conservation. By elevating community leadership, we can accelerate progress and build a more resilient planet for all. Once again, I thank you. I thank all speakers and participants for joining us today. I wish you all a productive and inspiring discussion. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your warm message and for Indonesia's continued commitment to advancing global environment cooperation. I'm sorry I was told to come on also to the stage so it's more visible. And now I have the honor to invite His Excellency Mr. Dias Faisal Malik Hendro Priyono, Vice Minister of Environment of the Republic of Indonesia, to deliver the keynote speech remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. I see a full house, almost a full house this afternoon, so hopefully it will be a great discussion that we can present to you all. Do I have my presentation PPT slides up here? I don't think I can see it from this angle, but hopefully as I speak, the PPT slide will follow accordingly. Your Excellency, Ms. Deshen, and Pak Dubes, Pak Wicaksono, and all honorable speakers and distinguished delegates, the Pak Erik. On behalf of Government of Indonesia, allow me to begin by conveying our heartfelt appreciation to all the speakers today for your presence, and your contribution to our side event entitled Empowering Communities for Sustainable Lake and Peatland Conservation. For Indonesia, as Pak Dubes has already mentioned, lakes are not merely geographical features. They are sacred landscapes, economic engines, ecological strongholds for millions. Our archipelago of Indonesia is home to more than 17,500 islands. So we have a lot of islands if we don't miscount them. We have about 840 major lakes and another 735 minor ones. And they stored around 500 cubic kilometers of fresh water. And that is equivalent to about 72% of our national service of water reserves. While the other 28%, the rest of them, you can find them in the rivers, in streams, in the ground and elsewhere. So these lakes serve as vital centers for freshwater ecosystems, supporting extraordinary biodiversity, again, as what our ambassadors already mentioned. Indonesia ranks 4th globally, trailing only Brazil, Colombia, and the DRC in freshwater species richness. with nearly 1,193 species of fish, amphibians, reptiles, and vertebrates, depending on the lake habitats. For instance, in Lake Toba, our world's largest volcanic lake, spanning 113,000 hectares, is home to endemic species like the Batak fish, and that is found nowhere else on Earth, only in Lake Toba, in the province of Sumatra. And so, ecologically, do they show the fish in here? Yeah. As you know, lakes act as regulators of micro and microclimates, acting as natural thermostat, reducing temperature extremes. And that is why you feel cooler near the lake than the surrounding area during the summer, and you would feel warmer than the surrounding area during the winter. While at a larger macro level, lakes can affect wind patterns and precipitation, as you all know. And also, lakes can absorb carbon dioxide through phytoplankton and aquatic plant photosynthesis, just like any other tree. And these microorganisms, phytoplanktons, aquatic plants, they perform photosynthesis, taking greenhouse gases out of the air. And a single hectare of healthy lake can also sequester up to 10 tons of carbon dioxide annually. And with Lake Toba alone, in the case of Indonesia, is capable of absorbing up to 1.1 million tons annually. And so nationally, our estimated 1.4 million hectares of lakes could sequester up to 14 million tons of CO2 yearly. But sadly, degradation turns lakes from carbon sinks into sources of greenhouse gases like CO2 and methane. Eutrophication, such a big word, or excessive nutrient pollution from agricultural runoff, from fertilizers, industrial discharge, or excessive aquaculture waste leads to algal blooms, the rapid growth of algae, or algae, as some would pronounce it, leading to this reduction of water quality. While erosion in catchment areas, the watersheds, often because of deforestation, poor land management, or construction activities, has caused sedimentation and shallowing of the lake. So examples include Lake Limboto in Gorontalo, another popular lake in Indonesia. So this lake, Lake Limboto, has shrunk about 70%. In the 1930s, it covered about 6,000 hectares. Now it is only less than 2,000 today, with the average depth reduced to only 2 to 3 meters deep. And this lake, Limboto, is sadly projected to vanish entirely by 2030 without restoration. Similarly, Lake Rawapening in Central Java is another lake, a popular lake in Indonesia. This Lake Rawapening suffers acute eutrophication with water hyacinth, or what we refer to as eceng gondok in Bahasa Indonesia, covering 50 to 70% of its surface, slashing CO2 absorption to under 3 tons per hectare annually. That is ecologically. And when we are talking about economically, these lakes support the livelihoods for millions of Indonesians. In fisheries and aquaculture, they contribute 2.5 million tons of freshwater fish production annually. So 25%, or 24% to be exact, of national fisheries output came from the lakes. And they are valued at about $3 billion last year. But threats from deforestation, overfishing, industrial pollution, and climate change accelerate lake shrinkage and mass fish kills, as seen in Lake Toba, and Maninjau, leading to recurring floods and economic losses. But these lakes also suffer from another thing, from another problem, that is waste issue. And this happens because residential areas, restaurants are built too close or sometimes at the edge of the lake. So initially in 2017, we have ministerial regulations from the Ministry of Public Works that mandated a lake buffer zone of 50 meters. But this was not strong enough to eliminate violations. So recognizing these challenges, Indonesia has implemented robust policies, including Law Number 17, 2019, on water resource management, and restoration programs focusing on catchment rehabilitation, reducing floating net cages, and community empowerment to restore hydrological and ecological functions. We have also implemented Presidential Regulation Number 60, 2021, for rescuing 15 priority lakes. So by the time this presidential regulation was published, we recorded that there were 303 violations in the 15 priority lakes. And these presidential regulations mandated stronger enforcement to give sanctions to these violators. And in addition to that, this presidential decree mandates that each and every subnational government, be it at the provincial level, regency level, or at the city level, whose areas overlap with these 15 lakes, they must have lake preservation elements in their regional spatial planning, or what we call in bahasa rencana tata ruang and tata wilayah. Aside from dealing with pollutants near the lake, we are also trying to mitigate waste coming from afar through the rivers. In 2024, our team did a research and found that Lake Batur in Bali, some of you may have heard the island of Bali, this Lake Batur is polluted with microplastic, as much as 203 particles per liter. And this is definitely considered high because, as you all know, UNEP standards for high designation is above, anything above 100 particles per liter, so that is quite high. Now we have implemented some regulations as our mitigation effort to manage that. For example, our president has published a presidential decree number 109, 2025 to fast-track the establishment and subsidize the operation of the waste-to-energy facility. So this is something new for Indonesia. And Bali is the province with the most readiness out of all regions, 7 regions that we considered in our first phase. So we are developing and we are constructing these waste-to-energy facilities across Indonesia, and we are trying to get it done first, at least in our first phase, 7 areas. So this waste-to-energy facility will handle 1,000 tons of waste per day, which would help reduce significantly the amount of waste left unmanaged or left in landfills. And the Bali, the provincial government, has also banned the use of single-use plastic bottles. So the ban is in place now. So with better awareness from the people and better waste processing capacity, we hope to reduce the amount of plastic waste in the river and eventually in lakes, as well as prevent leakages to the oceans. So going back to the lake issue, because lakes are very important for us, we have pushed for global efforts to save these lakes. Indonesia's global leadership in this matter was further cemented through our successful sponsorship of the UNEP resolution on sustainable lake management, which was adopted in 2022. And by securing UN General Assembly recognition on December 12, 2024, of World Lake Day, now celebrated every 27th of August, right? starting of this year, 2025. So other than lakes, Indonesia also has the second largest area of tropical peatland ecosystem in the world, covering 13.43 million hectares spread across 3 major islands, Sumatra, Kalimantan, and Papua. Those are the 3 major islands. Indonesia's, our peatland area is ranked 4th in the world after Canada, Russia, and the United States. And like our lakes, our peatlands are priceless. They're invaluable carbon reservoirs, storing an estimated 55 to 70 gigatons of CO2 equivalent. And this is equivalent to about 35 years of global human emissions. So ecologically speaking, they function as massive sponges, absorbing rainwater up to 800 to 1,300 of their dry weight, and preventing floods in wet season and providing water during droughts. They support exceptional biodiversity, serving as habitats for endangered species like our orangutans. 90% of Indonesia's population in Kalimantan Pit, Sumatran tigers, the proboscis monkeys, the one with long nose, if you have seen one of them, one with long nose, and one that you can only find in the island of Borneo, nowhere else, and over 250 birds. However, as what happened to our lakes, degradation of the peatlands has transformed our peatlands from carbon sinks into emission sources. Drainage for agriculture leads to subsidence, acidification, and heightened fire risk, while fire release massive emissions. For example, in 2015, 1.8 million hectares of peat burned, emitting close to 700 million tons of CO2 equivalents. But ever since, between 2016 and 2024, the trend shows a significant downtrend, except for the year 2019 and 2023, which we recorded 1.1 million burned respectively. Threats from deforestation, mining, and climate-induced drying exacerbate subsidence and biodiversity loss. And to address this issue, Indonesia has restored over 4.55 million hectares through partnerships with private sectors and community initiatives. This year, we are scaling up our community-led peatland resilient program in villages, or Desa Mandiri Peduli Gambut. This is community-led, as I said. We are targeting 800 villages throughout Indonesia, 800. So best practices already demonstrate strong results in one of the desas, or in one of the villages called Jadi Mulia village in South Sumatra. The program supports community fire monitoring systems and sustainable peatland agriculture. And the village has recorded zero fires in the past 3 years. Meanwhile, another desa, or another village called the Desa Teluk Panji in North Sumatra, the same island, where we just had the catastrophe with more than 900 people died. It's so saddening. So in this village, we have implemented community-driven rehabilitation, such as building canal blocks, sustainable farming, and local small-scale industry. And nationally, this program has been proven to successfully maintain moisture in peatland, so it prevented fires from while improving agricultural productivity of the villagers. So our data states that since 2017, since the program started, from 332 villages in this program, only 3 villages reported a recurring fire, only 3. So this program does not only save villages from fire, but the program also increases the income of the villagers from allowing them to grow and harvest many horticultural products such as vegetables, coffees, oranges, watermelons, and other fruits. And on the issue of peatland conservation, UNEA has adopted the UNEA Resolution 416 on conservation and sustainable management of peatlands in 2019, brought forward by Finland, with Indonesia as the co-sponsor. And the resolution stresses the need for conserving, restoring, and strengthening the resilience of peatland ecosystems in response to emerging challenges. So in regards to lakes and peatlands, as we have discussed, both resolutions, the UNEA resolution on conservation and sustainable management of peatlands in 2019, and the UNEA resolution on sustainable lake management in 2022, they both emphasize integrative multi-stakeholder and community-based approaches for effective lake and peatland management. Strengthening local participation and nature-based solution is key. It is key to restoring ecosystem. It is key in supporting biodiversity, and it is key in securing food, water, and energy, and it is key in enhancing carbon storage and sequestration. So, ladies and gentlemen, to empower communities in peatland conservation at the global level, Indonesia remains deeply committed to supporting the International Tropical Peatland Center, ITPC, its transition into a fully operational global institution with the planned establishment of ITPC Permanent Secretariat hosted by Indonesia. And to translate the commitment of sustainable lake management into regional impact, we have already proposed the establishment of a regional center of excellence for sustainable lake management in Asia Pacific. The center will advance science policy integration, will strengthen integrated lake basin management, and will support inclusive multi-stakeholder lake governance. And Indonesia, we are ready to host and facilitate this collaboration. And as my last point, I just want to say that we believe that by doing this event, where we share knowledge and experience, we can raise awareness and boost global multi-stakeholder collaboration, especially in lake and peatland restoration, that otherwise could have been easily overlooked by more popular issues. So let's now move on and let our great experts and speakers take the stage and let the discussion begin. And hopefully it will be well informative, and it will be something extra for our knowledge and something useful for every one of us here. And thank you again. Thank you very much for coming over. And I give the stage to Aidil. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your strong message and leadership on strengthening community-based environmental governance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to our main segment, sharing experience and presentation. I have on my list 6 speakers, and considering the limited amount of seats on stage, I would like to divide the sharing experience and presentations into 2 sessions. And for the first session, I would like to invite Mr. Eric Teguh Primiantoro, Senior Advisor to the Minister for International Relations and Environmental Diplomacy, Ministry of Environment, Indonesia. And then the next speaker will be Ms. Deshen Sering, UNEP Regional Director for Asia Pacific Region. And the third speaker, Ms. Masako Ogawa, Deputy Director General, Global Environment Bureau, Ministry of the Environment of Japan. Okay, we have all of the first session speaker. And to begin, I would like to invite Indonesia to share its national perspective and lesson learned from community-driven ecosystem management, including what key lessons have emerged from Indonesia experience in sustainable lake management and peatland conservation with strong community participation. Before we start, let me remind that the presentation is limited into 5 minutes of presentation. And for this, Mr. Priyamantoro, the floor is yours.
Okay.
And I have this clicker, maybe it could help you with the presentation.
Thank you so much, Pak Aidil ya. Your Excellencies, Vice Minister and Vice Head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Bapak Dias ya. Excellencies, Bapak Ambassador, Bapak Wicak ya. And distinguished delegate, speaker, and also ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me just to share some knowledge and experience regarding how to integrate it, what we call the lake and peatland management, but mostly focused on how to involve the community. This is the picture, the big picture, explaining about the peatland and the lakes on the landscape. As you can see in the picture, yeah, landscape is a socio-ecological system. And lake and peatland is part of the landscape. That's why right now, in order to manage the landscape, I think I propose to use the 9 strategic pathway. They divide it into 3 clusters. Yeah? The first cluster is regarding what we call the government transformation, and also technology transformation, and also the social capital transformation of people. Regarding the government transformation, we have very strong legal basis regarding the lakes and the peatland from the Indonesian Constitution, law and regulation, not only from the Ministry of Environment, but also from another sector also. And then we have the international arrangement regarding the lakes and also the peatland at the national, subnational, and also the local level also. And with regard to the financial mechanism right now, yeah, regarding the lakes management, we just access to the GF program also to develop the sustainable lake management. And the peatland, there is no initiative, what we call the global peatland economy. Is managed by the Indonesian Environmental Fund, something like that. And then, regarding the data information, right now, yeah, we already mapped developed the geospatial data information regarding the peatland especially. Right now, we also map and assess 382 peat hydrological unit covering almost 17 million hectares. And also, based on the map also, the next slide also, yeah, explaining how we can restore many hectares using what we call the nature-based and also the tech-based also. And then we have calculated also regarding the data information standard. We also calculated the rate of the carbon equivalent. Yeah, we achieved more or less 300.8 million ton CO2 equivalent emission reduction in 2024 from groundwater level management. This is what we call something like the data and management and technology also, developing the social data. And our focus right now is the community involvement. Like Pak Dias already explained, yeah, we also developed the community involvement for the peatland management. So you can see here, this is the journey of the land management in Indonesia with the legal basis or the governance, something like that. This is the data information regarding the geospatial data information regarding all the effort with the peatland management, yeah. And this is some of the way we conducted the activities, yeah, how to restore, yeah, with grounded with the data information. And this is this is the community participation also, that involving the peatland management at the local level, yeah, using the 3R principle, rewetting, revegetation, and also revitalization of the livelihood of the local community. And apart from that, the digital innovation we also developed using all the integrated with the many aspects, yeah, to something like the fire monitoring system, also the weather, something like that. This is the way we try to measure the water level during on the ecosystem, mangrove ecosystem also. This is some of the example of data information regarding the mangrove. And then we also developed some of the regulation here, all the guideline regarding the mangrove, something like that, yeah. We collaborate with private sector, local government. This is the something of the data information. And also we try to improve the awareness, working together with other parties, something like that. This is some picture explaining the what we call the community involvement regarding the peatland conservation and peatland management in Indonesia. Some of the lessons learned at the regional and national level also. I think that's all my presentation, yeah. At least we can see the management of the peatland and also the lake based on the 9 strategic pathway divided into 3 clusters, transforming the government transformation, technology transformation, and also the social capital transformation. That's all. Thank you very much.
Round of applause. Thank you very much, Mr. Priemiantoro, for highlighting Indonesia leadership and national experience. And following the national perspective from Indonesia, it is now important to hear the regional dimension from UNEP Asia Pacific Office, which plays a critical role in supporting countries to integrate community-based solution into broader environmental governance and resilience building efforts. Ms. Sering, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Vice Minister Dias Faisal Malik Hendro Priyono. Thank you. Thank you for pronouncing it right. Thank you, sir. It's such a pleasure to have had your presentation and really to see the tremendous work that is happening in Indonesia. I have Ambassador Adil, Mr. Eric, Ms. Masako, I see my colleague, Ms. Musonda, and other members from the UN family and experts. So I want to start really to express condolences to the people of Indonesia for the loss of life following the very severe floods in Sumatra recently, and our sympathies are with Indonesia. It's a pleasure for me to really have countries like Indonesia take the lead on issues, community-based freshwater, peatland conservation for a resilient planet. And this is anchored very much in UNEP resolutions 5.4 on sustainable lake management and the resolution 416 on conservation of peatlands. And this comes to, very much we're starting to look at, there's been tremendous work if you start to look at the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. We're looking at countries, looking at nationally determined contributions. And at the heart of it is what countries do. I think when we started to look at the contribution that peatlands make in helping the world stay within 1.5 degrees, and we're starting to recognize more and more the importance of fresh water, the importance of lakes. We have the regional seas. And this really, there's a lot of science that's already there. We have a lot of the governance, and many of the issues are synergistic. And the opportunity with the leadership of Indonesia and with other governments, really to lead on some of these issues. I think we no longer need to make a case of the importance, and we have centers like the International Tropical Peatlands Center, beautiful in Bogor, on the C4 ICRAF campus, and really bringing in, we saw the Democratic, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Diana's looking. the Republic of Congo, with Peru and Indonesia. But we're going to need to make more of this, and I'm really happy to see that we're going to have a center of excellence for lake management. When you start to look at all the commitments countries are making, but at the heart of it is the communities, is the recognition that we communicate what it means to them. We're worried, and I come from a small Ministry of Environment, and then I've joined UN Environment Program, and we're unable to articulate some of these global frameworks, some of these commitments that countries make to what matters to people. And we're talking about fresh water. We're talking about being able to breathe. We're talking about connecting. And I have experts, and I know you don't have time, but just to say it's such a pleasure. We at UNEP, the Regional Office of Asia Pacific, we had a 6th Forum of Ministers, Environment Authorities. It's a good forum to bring countries together, and we stand ready to support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sering, for providing the regional perspective and for highlighting how UNEP is strengthening community-driven solution across the Asia-Pacific region. To complement the regional insight, we will now turn to a key partner in advancing environmental action and technology-driven solution both within Asia and globally. Japan has long been a strong and committed partner in promoting ecosystem resilience, community empowerment, and knowledge-driven environmental cooperation. In this regard, it is now my pleasure to invite Ms. Masako Ogawa, Ministry of the Environment of Japan, to share Japan's perspective and experience in sustainable lake management. Ms. Ogawa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Selamat siang. Yeah, yeah, Bapak dan Ibu yang terhormat, thank you very much for inviting Japan for this important event. And may I see that my presentation? Yeah, thank you very much. So I'd like to introduce briefly our history and measures, and also particularly on community-based activities. And yeah, this is a bit brief history. So since the late 1950s, Japan has experienced rapid industrialization and economic growth, which causes, of course, urbanization in the watershed areas and resulting in the deterioration of water quality, and particularly in the rivers, lakes, and coastal areas. And as you see in the graph, so in order to address the pollution, of course, we have implemented the various control measures, including effluent regulation, sewage development, and dredging, and habitat protection. So these have carried out across the countries. So maybe as a result, and we have significantly reduced that pollutant loaded into the lakes, and also concentration of the pollutants have dramatically dropped, as you see in this graph. Then, but now I think there's some previous speaker mentioned, but we are facing new and emerging issues. Like the most notable is water temperature increase, and due to climate change. So the other is a continued decline in fisheries resources in lakes and coastal areas. So one of the typical community-based lake management is the Lake Biwa model. So in the course of overcoming severe pollution and eutrophication, Japan adopted multi-stakeholder approaches, and community engagement was, these are the key. And Lake Biwa, that is the largest lake in Japan, and the Lake Biwa model is a success case of community-based action and multi-sector collaboration. So in order to reduce the phosphorus as cause for eutrophication in Lake Biwa, local community voluntarily took the lead in adopting powdered soap instead of the chemical detergent. And the adoption rate of the powdered soap was increased from 26% to 71%. So 1 year, and leading to the ban of chemical detergent by local ordinance. And this model is also being applied to Island, in Vietnam, so where the community are actively engaged with the sustainable lake management practices. And also, Japan also launched a unique certification system for OECM site to achieve the 30 by 30 target under the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. And through the system, communities play a role in promoting OECM and achieving national targets by engaging in ecosystem conservation activities. So as of now, 448 sites are certified to date, which is known as a natural coexisting sites. Then lastly, I would like to introduce some lessons learned. And for first, you see that public engagement and community participation were indispensable to overcome the past severe pollution and eutrophication in Japan. And secondly, Japan's model for community-based lake management is being applied to other countries, and which is also effective to promote OECM. And thirdly, to enhance momentum, Indonesia and Japan collaborated in designation of the World Lake Day, which is August 27, and adopted last year by UNGA. And fourth, knowledge sharing and mutual learning of good practices are required for accelerated implementation for the UNEP Resolution 5/4 and on sustainable lake management. And lastly, Japan can contribute by providing latest scientific knowledge and practice through International Lake Environmental Committee Foundation, or ILEC, and including the organization of the World Lake Conference. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ogawa, for Japan's comprehensive perspective and its continued leadership in advancing community-based and technology-driven environmental cooperation. We have heard our first three speakers, and I think please give a round of applause once again. And for the second session, I would like to invite the next four speakers. Thank you. First is Dr. Musonda Mumba, Secretary General of the Convention on Wetlands. And the next speaker will be Dr. Kilian Kreis, Program Management Officer, UNEP Office of Science. And then next speaker, Mr. Klaus Reiner, Lead Regional Climate Change and Environmental Specialist, IFAD East and Southern Africa. And the last speaker, last but not least, Ms. Louise Haxthausen, Director, UNESCO Regional Office in Nairobi. Okay, we have all the next speaker on the stage, and we will now broaden the discussion to the global governance of wetlands, an ecosystem that plays a critical role in sustaining freshwater resources, biodiversity, and community livelihoods. The Ramsar Convention has long served as the cornerstone of international cooperation on wetlands protection, ensuring that local communities are not only beneficiaries but essential partners in conservation and sustainable use. In this context, it is my great pleasure to invite Dr. Musonda Mumba to share her insight and reflection. Dr. Mumba, the floor is yours.
Terima kasih. It's such an honor to be here. I visited Indonesia for the first time last July on the margins of the 10th World Water Forum. And it was amazing. I think what made the trip even more exciting was the resolution coming through on World Lake Day, which is fantastic. Congratulations. And also, what was amazing and impressive was my visit to the Subak system. Now, this wetland system, rice paddies, ancient systems from the 11th century, form a very clear source-to-sea aspect of connectivity up above the Subak, at the mountain range, and also the peat systems in highlands. And Indonesia has the largest surface area of peat wetland systems. Now, as a convention on wetlands, we are the oldest and most experienced, born in 1971 in Ramsar, with 172 contracting parties. And so you can imagine the diversity of these wetland systems, 2,500 of them all over the world. Now, the wetlands globally form the very foundational systems of the hydrological cycle. And that's extremely important to note. And I was really glad to listen to the lady from Japan about the lake systems, and also my dear sister, who's from beautiful Bhutan in the high Himalayan region, a region where you see this aspect of connectivity. Now, for us as a convention, the aspect of connectivity is key. Because we cannot isolate these wetlands and say, well, there's a lake over there and there's a peat over there. But coming to peatland systems, this is why we were also involved. We were part of the Global Peatland Initiative with UNEP, and really making sure that the peatlands breakthrough, when it happened in Belém just a few weeks ago, was something that was also extremely foundational. We work together with our scientific and technical review panel of the convention, with the IPCC, and I've been having quite a lot of discussions with your ministry to also talk about this aspect of re-wetting peatlands. It is an absolute critical aspect. We know anywhere in the world, when peatlands get drier and then they actually catch fire, we know what that means, the health implications, and what that means for our atmosphere and also for the carbon content. Now, this re-wetting of aspect, when it's missing in scientific spaces like the IPCC and the data, because peatlands touch on both the climate conversation and the water and hydrological cycle conversation, and the biodiversity conversation, because they're pretty incredibly biodiverse. I want to finish by saying that when we had the COP in Zimbabwe a few months ago in July, we had 28 resolutions. The highest so far, over 3,000 people participated, but also the conversation around cities. This aspect of connectivity around cities, because most of us, if not all of us, live in cities. And wetlands have been foundational and fundamental for cities and species that migrate, particularly flyways. The birds that are connecting from the Arctic all the way further down beyond Africa. So I'm so excited to be a part of this panel, but also really to just highlight that let's really look at the power of people, communities. 2nd February next year is World Wetlands Day. Please share your stories with us. The theme is traditional knowledge, systems, and wisdom, and culture. Because our cultures, that Subak experience for me was like, how has this been maintained from the 11th century? That it is the least methane producing system in the world. That's phenomenal. But there's wisdom that has lay in that space for a very long time, passed on from one generation to the next, to make sure that that wetland stays resilient, stays important, and also stays biodiverse, and the water is being supplied. And everybody's happy. And so we hope that can stay the same. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Dr. Mumba. Thank you very much for your important reflection on wetland governance. Your insight clearly highlight the central role of communities in protecting this vital ecosystem. Following on from this, I would now invite Dr. Kilian Kreis, Program Management Officer of the UNEP Freshwater Ecosystem Unit. Science is essential for guiding policy and empowering communities to manage freshwater ecosystem effectively. And Dr. Kreis will share UNEP's perspective on this important topic. Dr. Kilian, I think, yeah, the floor is yours.
You. Thanks for inviting me. I have some slides. Great, thanks for inviting me. I work with GEMS Water, that is UNEP's environmental monitoring program, with a focus on ambient freshwater quality. And we work with partners on different aspects of freshwater monitoring, and we coordinate the World Water Quality Alliance. And today I will talk about our work on citizen science and how it matters for freshwater conservation and helps to empower communities. Okay. So it is a topic that has also come up in some resolution negotiations over the past week. And there are debates, how should we actually call it? Is it participatory science, citizen-generated data, validated citizen science approaches, and so on. However we call it, what we know is that freshwater ecosystems and lakes cannot be managed to say sustainably unless we understand their condition and trends. Yet there are large data and knowledge gaps globally, and especially in low-income regions. And As GEMS Water, we work on the global reports for SDG Indicator 632. That is the one on ambient water quality. And this process allows us to get insights into countries' monitoring programs and how they calculate the indicator. And for the calculation of this indicator in 2023, globally 2 million water quality data points were used. And of these 2 million data points, only 3% came from the lowest income half of the world. And you see that here reflected in this figure. And as we often say, you cannot manage what you don't know or measure. So this is where citizen science can jump in. So one aspect is, of course, data, but citizen science can contribute more than that. On data, citizen science provides water quality observations, often in places where no regular monitoring exists. But of course, we do not advocate for the replacement of conventional monitoring driven by national authorities with the laboratories and professionals. Conventional monitoring is still an essential element to keep the environment under review. But we support the idea to complement conventional data with citizen science data and integrate citizen science data into national monitoring programs. And all the projects we support happen in close cooperation and with oversight by the national authorities, and they know and interact with the communities engaging in monitoring. And thereby citizen science also helps to create bridges between communities and the authorities that manage the water resources. This improves mutual understanding, transparency, and highlights the shared responsibility we have for our water resources. So citizen science makes science more inclusive and thereby also advances science literacy. On the next slide, here you see a map of our active citizen science projects in Africa. And thanks to the close cooperation and oversight by national partners who can validate the collected data in their laboratories, we also know that the citizen science generated data is actually very good data, because there are often concerns about citizen science. Can the data be trusted? Is the data quality good? But our projects show it is actually good data. And Sierra Leone and Zambia in 2023 became the first countries to actually integrate citizen-generated water quality data into their official SDG water quality reports. And this is a milestone we are quite proud of and an example of how community involvement improves national reporting and contributes to global assessments and frameworks like the SDGs. And the next data drive for this indicator will happen next year, and of course we hope to increase this number. And in September we also organized a knowledge exchange workshop here in Nairobi with our partners to discuss opportunities but also challenges for citizen science. And citizen science has the advantage to be easily scalable. And some of our goals are to integrate citizen science into national monitoring frameworks across more countries, but of course ensuring the quality of the monitoring programs, and by making trainings and guidance available. We want to strengthen digital tools and data management capacity and the harmonization of citizen science and government data set so that the citizen science data and the official government data can talk to each other and complement each other. We want to expand partnerships with countries, universities, youth platforms and community groups, and promote incentives and recognition for citizen scientists. Because the retainment of citizen scientists sometimes is an issue, but there are certain incentives that can help here, for example, by simply providing airtime or certifications and skills accreditations. And so, to sum up, citizen science is not a replacement for conventional monitoring, but it is a powerful complement and that expands coverage, empowers communities, and strengthens environmental governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kilian, for sharing the information regarding citizen science. Your insight underscored the importance of evidence-based approach in supporting sustainable freshwater management. In continuation, I now invite Mr. Klaus Reiner lead regional climate change and environmental specialist for East and Southern Africa at IFAD. Mr. Reiner will share his perspective on community-based freshwater and peatland conservation, regional best practices, and the financing and capacity gaps that need to be addressed. Sir, the floor is yours.
Many thanks. So I work for the International Fund for Agricultural Development, as was said, and I'd like to take this conversation to a slightly other level, different level. I'd like to talk about money. And if my presentation could also come up here, that would be great. Thank you. So it's about our engagement in sustainable peatlands management in Indonesia. Thank you very much. Indonesia and other countries in Southeast Asia. There are three main reasons why IFAD is engaged in these activities, which are a bit odd in a way, because IFAD is normally engaged in rural people. We invest in rural people to reduce poverty. But here's a very clear link, and these three reasons are giving them. The first one is that the peatlands are a fantastic sink for carbon. And they are naturally a sink because they accumulate carbon and the peatlands grow in that process. But the degraded peatlands actually turn that around and they become carbon emitters, very large carbon emitters. Not only when they burn, then they're really terrible, but when they are dry, they also emit carbon because they are degrading slowly. And when you restore them, then they become a sink again. And you can actually restore them in such a way that they slowly start absorbing carbon again. So as UNEP was saying, it is a fantastic system. Secondly, we see an opportunity which is has been created by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in its vision to manage these peatlands sustainably for investing in them. And we have a program called the Measurable Action for Haze-Free Sustainable Land Management in Southeast Asia, which is about information management on these peatlands, on knowledge generation from these very projects we are financing, and on the better international coordination of the activities at regional level and at international level. And thirdly, we see that there is a great opportunity in investing in rural people, because there are people around and on these peatlands, and investing in their productive systems and in the peatlands together can lead to a win-win situation where the sustainable cropping of these smallholder farmers actually reduces forest degradation and also forest fires. It can create income at the same time, can create food security, and also foster the people as stewards of the peatlands. Oops. And now I'd just like to present quickly some projects which we are supporting. And let me get up so I can see read the names better of these projects, because very difficult to see from here. The first project, which is an ongoing one, financed by a JEF grant, managed by IFAD and implemented by the government of Indonesia, is called the Sustainable Management of Peatland Ecosystems in Indonesia. And it has so far already conserved 9,200 hectares of wetlands by increasing the water levels. It has created 313 canal blocks, which have made the water levels rise, and they have enabled agriculture through irrigation systems and reduced the forest fires. The project has also created some 10 guidelines on peatland management, which can be applied both in Indonesia and possibly even in other countries where they can be copied. It has installed or supported the installation of an early warning system on peatland fires, which is very important. And then also it has come up with support to some 12 regulations, national regulations on peatlands, which are very important for creating the overall environment in which communities can manage these lands. And here you can also see some of the results of the project so far: 300,000 hectares of farmland that have been improved, 30,000 beneficiary households, and 19.3 million tons of CO2 that has been avoided already, and that already is about 140% of the target of that project. So the project is still ongoing, but it's already overreached its emission reduction target. Then secondly, on the left-hand side, we have another project in Indonesia. It's the lake ecosystem restoration in Indonesia through integrated governance, landscapes, and community-based approaches, or in short, the Lakes project. This is also a GEF grant of $8 million. It will reach 10,000 beneficiary families, and it is about to start soon. This is actually part of the GEF 8 cycle, and also GEF 8 is the other project on the right-hand side, sustainable agriculture in plantations and peatland landscapes in Malaysia. This project is also supported by a GEF grant. It'll reach 20,000 beneficiaries, and I always think this is quite interesting that actually with less money you can reach more beneficiary households here, so there is something to be learned about efficiency, but at the same time these projects are really building on the experience of SNPEI from Indonesia in making, basically learning how the investments in peatlands can really be turned in favor of the communities and of nature. And that I think is really important and a very strong lesson. And then there are some other projects which we are supporting in Asia, mainly to reduce haze. Obviously, these projects are also community and people-based, so they are usually supporting some form of agricultural intensification, but in that case, they are also important to reduce haze, which is an important effect of these projects here as well. And these haze projects are in Vietnam, Philippines, and Cambodia. And then my last slide is on lessons learned, where I'd like to talk about the community-based peatlands management as an approach to sustainable management of natural resources, which we see as a very good model for developing and promoting these very fragile ecosystems by re-wetting them, letting the water levels rise, by investing in the regeneration of these ecosystems with their biodiversity, and then also revitalization of economic activities by investing in the productive capacities of people that will then also look after them. We see that as a really strong win-win situation in these ecosystems, in this case implemented by peatland working groups, which are first preparing action plans, then implementing them, and an external agency that can finance them. And then also we see some lessons learned about the South-South triangular cooperation. First of all, there is a management plan in Indonesia called the National Peat Ecosystems Management Plan, RPPEG, which serves to support communities in these kind of management approaches. It provides the overall legal and administrative framework for that. And we see that as a very strong example which can also be used by other countries in applying that and in having similar development patterns in the region. And then lastly, the already mentioned International Tropical Peatland Center in Indonesia that was founded in 2018. We see that as a very strong instrument for sharing knowledge between countries, between regions, and since we're in Africa, I also see a very big potential in many countries in Africa, especially where you have highland peatlands that are very often used intensively for rice cultivation, and where these kind of community-based approaches can be very well applied. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rainer, for your presentation. For our final speaker, I am pleased to welcome Ms. Hax-Tausen, I hope I pronounce it correctly, UNESCO Regional Office Director in Nairobi. And UNESCO plays a vital role in strengthening environmental education, promoting cultural heritage, and fostering community engagement. Ms. Hax-Tausen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And if you allow, I would like to speak from the podium. Excellency, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'd really like to thank Indonesia. I would like to thank you for organizing this side event and for your leadership. in promoting community-driven conservation of lakes and peatlands. I think what your presentation has shown, and also what we hear from other colleagues, is when you put community at the center, sustainability and resilience follow. As we are a bit short of time, as far as I understand, I would like to share 3 concrete experiences from UNESCO on how we turn our global commitments in terms of conservation into practice, into action, and 3 short lessons learned. And the first initiative I'd like to talk to you about is here in Kenya. And it concerns actually a World Heritage Site, a natural World Heritage Site. But I think, as was said previously, it's very difficult and certainly something that we at UNESCO do not want to do, to separate nature and culture. This comes together and mutually, and conservation mutually reinforce each other. So Lake Turkana, as you may know, is Kenya's largest inland water body and a lifeline for more than 1 million people. Working alongside the World Food Programme, county governments and local communities, we are applying a systems approach that links integrated water resource management, climate-resilient livelihoods, and food security. A key innovation under this initiative is the deployment of UNESCO's World Water Quality Portal for Lake Turkana. By combining satellite data with in-situ measurements, the portal will provide open access, high-resolution indicators on water transparency, sediment load, and eutrophication. Hosted by Kenya's Water Resource Authority and operated with the Kenya Marine and Fishery Research Institute and local universities, this tool is designed to ensure local ownership and long-term capacity building. It directly supports evidence-based decision-making for fisheries management, climate adaptation, and sustainable development, contributing to SDG 6, 13, and 14. Importantly, the project also strengthens fish value chains, promotes gender and youth employment, and helps community build resilience in a context shaped by climate shocks and conflict, placing inclusive governance at its core. And beyond what we do at our designated site, being it World Natural World Heritage Site, being it biosphere reserves, we are also in a process of establishing 63 eco-hydrology demonstration sites across 36 countries, including 15 lake and wetland catchments. From Lake Naivasha in Kenya to wetlands in Ethiopia, in Indonesia, in China, Latin America, and the Caribbean, these sites apply UNESCO eco-hydrology and nature-based solutions approach at the catchment scale. Eco-hydrology is inherently solution-oriented. It reduces human pressures, restores freshwater ecosystems, and strengthens the relationship between people and water. Communities are not beneficiaries alone. They are key stakeholders in designing, implementing, and sustaining these solutions. Finally, an example from Central Asia, where UNESCO is implementing a regional initiative to reduce risk from glacier lake outburst floods in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. This project strengthens monitoring and early warning systems while supporting community-based adaptation with particular attention to vulnerable groups. It also highlights the importance of regional cooperation and shared knowledge in addressing climate-driven risks that cross borders. Across these experiences, again, I would like to share 3 lessons learned. And the first one is that community empowerment is not optional. It is foundational. Whether through participatory planning, co-designing of monitoring system, or gender-inclusive risk reduction, communities are at the heart of successful and lasting solutions. And secondly, digital innovation combined with capacity building, such as open access water data platforms, enables local authorities and communities to make informed decisions and adapt the rapidly changing environmental conditions. And third, partnerships matter. Collaboration among governments, communities, research institutions, UN agencies, and the private sector is essential to scale impact and ensure sustainability. Looking ahead, UNESCO invites member states and partners to join us in expanding these models, integrating science, technology, and local traditional knowledge to protect vulnerable lakes and peatlands worldwide. Continued investment in open access data, community training, and inclusive governance will be critical to accelerating the implementation of the UNEP resolutions we have mentioned, but also to achieving and accelerating the Sustainable Development Goals. Let me conclude with one simple message. Healthy lakes and wetlands are lifelines for biodiversity, for cultural diversity, for climate resilience, and for human well-being. By empowering communities and leveraging innovation, we can safeguard these ecosystems for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Haxtausen. Another big round of applause. We have heard sharing experience, best practice on the sustainable lake management and peatland conservation from all of our speakers. I think we still have 10 more minutes and we would like to hear, we are open for the floor for question, comments, reflection from all participants. If you wish to take the floor, please indicate by raising your hand and kindly begin your question or comments by stating your name and your country or institution. Is there anyone? Yes, sir, please.
Thank you very much, our moderator. I'm called Kayinga Modesto. I come from Uganda. I work for Community Transformation Foundation Network. This is a civil society organization bringing together over 100 grassroots groups, including farmers, fish communities. I'm just touched by one thing that is being told from MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, to Sustainable Development Goals, talking about people, citizens. Me, as a civil society actor working from grassroots communities, I feel we still need to broaden collaboration. As this project is being, I'm already looking at how we do peatland work in Uganda. And I wish to know the best stakeholders. But we can design all such interventions working with our communities so that the interventions can be more sustainable in the long run. But usually we are just hearing things like a citizen, people, but really there are some lacks of the involvement of people of all sectors for sustainability beyond the funding. I'm very happy about the project Water to Water. I see there's something in Uganda which is new. Since I'm here, I want to see how we integrate. We should let these interventions leave ministries, get to local governments, and have a community touch. That's the reason why I think we as civil society organizations partnering with UNEP to ensure that there is that inclusivity. That's the only best way. Technicality can be there, scientists cannot have you, but we need to have participation of all stakeholders, not just mentioning them, but we want to see constructive and impactful engagement. I thank you so much, all of you, and I look forward to further participation with civil society in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I didn't catch your name, I'm sorry.
I'm called Kayinga Mudu Yisto. Kayinga. I prefer Kayinga.
Mr. Kayinga from Uganda, thank you so much for your intervention, comments, and sharing experience. I think in the interest of time, we will able to take one comments from the floor. Madam?
Thank you. My name is Denise Kavira Kelwai from DRC. Can I speak in French?
I think since considering we don't have interpreter, so I think it's better to convey your message in English. Thank you.
Okay, I am the focal point of Cassandra. Cassandra worked with WWKA, World Water Quality Alliance. And so we work in Congo DRC Eastern, in Goma, where there are the Lake Kivu. People cannot have another water to drink. They work only the water from lake. So my question is this: how we can adapt the resilience from water, because now we have many inshore who has been from water drink from the quality of this water. We have Régis Deso there, who is there for give people water to drink. So now the quality of this water is very, very bad and is affected by pollution of plastic and the war. So I want to know how we can do to adapt our politic about the water quality, because we work with fishermen and farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Denise. Yeah, I think we are able to take one more comments from the floor. Please, sir. And please make it short.
Yeah, my name is Odinga Isaiah Abur. I'm a Kenyan. I work for the Jokinda Citizen Voice Transaction. I always stand for the indigenous people who are, their voice are not being heard. First, I want to appreciate the government of the Republic of Indonesia for being with us here. I'm very happy, and I think next time I will also join them in the other side so that they're experiencing the environment in the other side. There's one thing that I've seen, they have worked well, but I'm seeing that there's still gap between the indigenous people who are down there, because in terms of collecting the accurate data, we are finding that there is a gap. There is a gap. That's why you see that when we go to the wetlands, and our rivers are drying, and this is because we are mismanaging it, whereby the waste materials are being channeled to our fresh water, so that is being contaminated. So if you look at this one, it's now risking the health of the people down there. So there is need of the civic educations so that we can teach our people down there, and the involvement of our community organizations, so that they can also teach our people to come up, so it's when we'll get the accurate data. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I think we turn to our speaker, and maybe each of our speaker can give comments. Maybe Dr.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe in the interest of time, I'll be very quick. I just want to respond to the indigenous people point and question. I want to say that for us as a convention, even though we're not in the UN system, we are a multilateral entity, and we're working very closely with the UN, multilateral bodies and different entities, because there is actually a formalized body within the UN that also looks at indigenous peoples. Now, as a convention, this is why for us, even just celebrating World Wetlands Day next week, to hear about the stories and wisdom, because a lot of time, information that is related to the recovery and restoration and also quality of wetlands is actually dependent on knowledge systems from indigenous and traditional peoples. And sometimes this knowledge system has never been collected and formally anchored within UN reports. And so this is why it's important that there's this continuity. And also the power of intergenerational knowledge systems, the old and the new, the old and young, women, men, and all of that, because these knowledge systems are shared very differently and culturally in many different spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kilian, maybe you have some response?
Thanks. Yes, one comment on the intervention from Uganda. We've started early discussions with the water ministry in Uganda on setting up a citizen science monitoring program there. So, and of course, the goal is to be as inclusive as possible and work with the communities. And on the question from DRC, of course, that's a big question and also touches on water supply and sanitation infrastructure, and ambient water quality being good doesn't always mean that it's drinkable. So it's a larger topic, but happy to have a discussion after this session.
Thank you. Yeah. Mr. Reiner, please.
Yes, many thanks. I'd like to emphasize the community-based management aspects which were mentioned frequently now in this seminar. I believe that that is really the key to sustainable management, and it's very important that governments give communities and local organizations the means and also the legal frameworks to actually take decisions and to manage actively the resources which are at their disposal. And this combined with monitoring systems that also should be as local as possible can make sure that investments through these governments can actually reach the places with the preferences of the people and lead to a transformation to sustainable usage of these resources, because the conservation of these resources is one thing. It would be very nice to turn everything into a national park for nature, but we can't. We are very many people, and especially in Africa, we're getting many more. So we will need to find systems that will allow us to use and at the same time conserve and possibly even restore these systems. And I think with peatlands that's very well possible, and with lake and other water bodies that is also a possibility. And so we really see this opportunity and also need to channel resources to local communities to manage them locally in an accountable way. And IFAD has been working a lot with governments to support that, and we hope that we can also find many other allies to walk that journey together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reiner. Ms. Hochstausen, maybe a few words from you?
Yes, I just wanted to say a few words in response to your question about, how we could have a stronger recognition of indigenous practices when it comes to the conservation of lakes and peatlands. Wanted to draw your attention to a UNESCO convention that is maybe not as much known as the World Heritage Convention, but which is a convention on intangible cultural heritage. This convention seeks to protect, by protecting the transmission of traditional knowledge inter alia. And so far on that list, we have very few examples of traditional knowledge related to water management. And I think it would be very interesting for UNESCO to consider a new nomination of such traditional knowledge systems. So we really encourage you to approach the UNESCO office either in your country, or you're from Uganda also? Yeah, you're from Uganda. From Kenya. Well, so please come and meet with my team, so we can discuss this further. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ogawa, maybe a few words, just a little bit. Okay, thank you. In the interest of time, I think allow me to offer concise and coherent summary on the key messages that emerged from our side event. I think I would like to quote what has been mentioned by Ms. Hochstausen, that community-based freshwater community-based conservation is no longer optional, it is fundamental. So, as we conclude, allow me to extend my sincere appreciation to all speakers, participants, for your thoughtful insight and your dedication to advancing community-driven conservation. But before we close the side event, our Vice Minister would like to present a little souvenir for all of the speakers. So I would like to call our Vice Minister to present all of the speaker to present the souvenir. So maybe the speaker, we can go in this space. Yeah. And Ms. Ogawa, please. And after the presentation of the souvenir, we would like to have a quick photo. Next, Ms. Ogawa. I think next will be Ms. Huxtausen. And Dr. Kilian. Last but not least, Mr. And we would like to have a photo together with our Vice Minister, with all of the speakers. And maybe, yeah, we can have a photo together. Maybe all of the speakers can move back to the stage with our Vice Minister to have a, and our ambassador also, Indonesian ambassador. Okay, I will count to 3 for the photo session. 1, 2, 3. Another one, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you so much. Indonesia is honored to have convened this dialogue, and we look forward to working with all of you in translating today's ideas into concrete action on the ground. Thank you very much. See you on the next session.